much easier than you think if you just have the right people standing behind you. And I really think that that's true. If you have support or the willingness to self-teach, this is becoming a world where anybody can do it. If you don't have that mentality that you need success tomorrow, but you're willing to work for it to have it a year from now, or in my case, even less than a year from now, it's really whatever you make of it.
Welcome to the My Future Business Show, where we get you in front of your best audience and keep you there. Not only are we interviewing the biggest names in business to help you become even more successful, we're inviting you to book your spot on the show to help you grow your business. So at the end of the call, make sure you fill in the interview application form at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. Hi, and welcome back to the My Future Business Show. It's Rick Nuske here. I'm your host, and if this is your first time with us on the show today, it's going to be a wonderful journey of success. And with that in mind, I'm on the line with Kasey Labrie. How are you, Kasey?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm very well. I have 2 feet and a heartbeat, and I can't complain. So on today's call, Kasey, we're going to be obviously talking about your journey of success with Buffalo Group Tours. I've read a little bit about your bio, and it seems to me that you've had a bit of a journey, but you've come out the other end very successful. You're a mum of 4 children. You don't have a college degree. You're managing your time. You're staying organised, and you've been able to be successful. But before we jump into that, Kasey, I'd love for you to share a little bit about yourself with the My Future Business Show audience.
Sure, absolutely. So I am a mom of 4. I grew up in Buffalo, New York. I live just outside of Buffalo now. And I kind of started off a little bit on the back burners. My husband was military and I stayed home with kids, and I made my way into the insurance industry, and I got my broker license. I was doing that for a while, some sales, and I just couldn't get the idea of traveling the world out of my head. And it was never something I really did as a child. I didn't really have a lot of opportunity. I grew up inner city with a single mom, and I had 2 little sisters I took care of very often. So it was something I never did, but I'd always admired the worldwide traveling, people who traveled solo or even with their families. And so I tried to think of a way, how can I do this with 4 kids? And does that even make sense? Is it an option? Can I afford to do that?
Yes.
Can I find the time to do that? And the good part about it was that I'd come across an amazing opportunity to become an independent business owner, but offer a different kind of travel product that made it not only one that fit into my lifestyle, but one that I could also market to people who didn't think that traveling was really an option for them. And that meant a lot to me because I understand where that comes from. So here I am.
Yeah, so here you are. Thank you so much for sharing some insight there. I know now that, I can only imagine how difficult it would be having a partner who was serving in the military and having 4 children. I have 2 of my own, and that's handful enough, I can assure you of that much. So with the masterclass, is this just one arm of the business that you're now involved with? Could you tell us a little bit more about the things that you actually do at Buffalo Group Tours?
Sure, absolutely. So we offer, what sets us apart as an agency is that we offer payment plans with no credit check or financing.
Right.
So this was extremely important to me because, again, coming kind of from that inner city life where money isn't really, people don't have a lot of money, and it's a lot of, people are just making it, and so it was important to me to kind of have a product that allowed people to travel that, like I said before, didn't think it was an option for them. So what this plan does is it allows them to make a small deposit to guarantee their rates, and then they have up to 60 days before the trip to pay it off. So it doesn't have to be monthly, it doesn't have to be weekly, it doesn't have to be X amount of dollars. It just has to be paid off before that 60 days before the trip.
Right.
And the best part about it is that if something were to come up before that 60 days and they weren't able to make the final payments, it's all fully insured and they would then get all of their money back.
Well, that's fantastic. That's like a risk-free investment, isn't it?
Right, exactly. And it's not coming at any extra cost. You're only paying the cost of the trip, but it definitely allows people to book, 1 to 2 years out, but still have affordable payment options.
That's a wonderful thing that you're doing. I've not heard of that before. Maybe I should look further into this. I wonder. It must open a lot of doors for those who couldn't in the past plan to travel. It must be their eyes must light up when they come and see you.
Right, and that's the thing, and that's really what I wanted. And we can add things in there. You can add tickets to Disney World or tickets to Universal, and they still come in that payment plan, or flights, or your insurance. So it's really a different way, but it is an option that allows anyone to feel like traveling is affordable for them. So I just came up with a plan for a family of 5 that allowed them like $17 a week they budgeted to pay, and they were taking their kids to Disney at Christmas time. So
Oh wow, that is
yeah,
great. Disney World and Universal and places like that. Having been to them multiple times myself, they are trips of a lifetime. That if you can afford to give your family, your children especially, that changes people's lives.
right. It does. It really does. And I think that being a child, when I was younger, it was like my dream,
Oh yeah.
is to go to Disney. And I'm here in the States. I mean, I know it's even more difficult for people who aren't. So that's kind of how I not only, I mean, I knew I wanted to go into the travel industry, but that was really what solidified the deal for me, is that, I could take advantage of the rates myself for
Hmm.
my family and kind of tour the world and document it and blog it and things like that, but also to be able to offer it to those who just don't do it all the time, to those who may only take a trip once.
Yeah.
Um, so that was really important to me.
Thank you. I just love to talk a little bit about your sales background and what it meant to you, and the impacts it had on your life to become that entrepreneur who was taking this risk and putting something new out there. How was that journey for you?
It was definitely challenging. Like I said, I don't have a college degree. I kind of just had, I mean, I didn't even really have that much work experience, to be honest, because I was a mom and that was all I knew.
Hmm.
And then I had this outside sales role, which kind of showed me the hard work, the door to door stuff. And I learned how to take no really easily. So that kind of built some fundamental, but I think the biggest thing for me was my confidence. So the fact that I could say to my children, college wasn't an option for me, but I have still built this empire and I've made the most of it, and I can send you to college and I can travel the world with you, meant a lot to me. And I had a hard time at first digesting it, because I think that with my childhood and things, you kind of grow up feeling, I don't want to say not like you don't deserve it, but you don't expect ever to live a life like that.
Hmm.
And um, it was really, it's just really gratifying. And I find myself really thankful for the oddest things, even people who don't book trips with me, but just take the time to talk with me, or reach out to me on social media. And that's kind of how I gotten into the master class, and helping others kind of come up in this entrepreneurial world, because they're like, how are you doing this? I saw you grow up. Where did this come from? I tell them, it's much easier than you think if you just have the right people standing behind you. And I really think that that's true. If you have support or the willingness to self-teach, this is becoming a world where anybody can do it. If you don't have that mentality that you need success tomorrow, but you're willing to work for it to have it a year from now, or in my case, even less than a year from now. It's really whatever you make of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And first of all, congratulations. This is the essence of what the My Future Business show is about, is to talk about, not only the successes, but understanding that the journey behind it, the commitment, the perseverance, the consistency that goes into this. Now, I'd like to go a little bit deeper into the masterclass and what that contains, and how it came about that you decided to offer that.
Sure. So what we do is I really start at the beginning because a lot of the people that I attract are people who were just like me. They have no idea what it takes to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
And so we start at the smart business stuff. What do you want to be? Are you going to be a sole proprietorship, an LLC? Like what are the differences? Okay, here are the differences. And then we talk about some branding and personal development so that they can get a good idea of who their audience is and what they might want to market or market to. And then we go in a little bit deeper and we talk about some social media basic techniques and how to market digitally so that you really can work from anywhere. If it builds my confidence to know that if I got a call tomorrow saying that, um, they want me to travel for a seminar or a speech, I can still work. I can still bring in money for my family.
Mm-hmm.
Or if my daughter has soccer tryouts, I can sit there and I can work,
Still be there and work. Yep.
Yeah, and it's nice. So we talk about that too, some time management and making sure that even though you are working for yourself, it's important to care for yourself as well. So setting work hours. And I found at the beginning, it was getting a little bit addicting knowing that my success was in my own hands and I was working even more as,
Yes.
as an entrepreneur than I was from the 9 to 5. And I found myself getting burnt out really fast. And I had to kind of take a look at things and say, hey, this is actually quite the opposite of why I wanted to do this. I wanted to buy my time back and kind of like work at my leisure, but still work hard, but not all the time. And making myself, putting myself at everyone else's disposal was really not leaving me the time to, be with my family the way that I'd anticipated it. So I got really hard on myself. I set work hours and I don't work outside of those. That way my family knows when their time is their time and my work knows when, work time is work time. And people really respect that a lot more than I thought. But
Mm-hmm.
it's something that I really push in my masterclass because I know how when you start seeing success, you think, oh my God, I want this all the time. I want to feel like this all the time. And then you start working all the time. And
Yes.
that is not that's the opposite of what you're trying to do. And if you set that foundation in the beginning, it's going to be really hard to get away from that, the longer it goes on.
Yeah, that's great insight. This is the classic story, isn't it? We get into it for all the right reasons, but as you mentioned, we end up working a great deal more. And this is where that, setting of the policies within your business and, saying no often would become quite important. Kasey, I just wonder if there was a one of the top things that you recommend or that people think about. What is it when they're starting out on this journey of entrepreneurship?
I think that people find an excuse not to.
Mm-hmm.
So I would be lying if I still didn't have days where I thought to myself, my goodness, working 9 to 5 would be so much easier than this.
What am I doing?
Right, right. But I think that it's really important to dig deep and figure out your why, and write it everywhere. Like, why are you doing this? Okay, I'm doing this for my kids, right? But why are you doing it for yourself? So for me, I'm a business owner. I take so much pride in being able to say that and talk business and design my business to be the way that I want it to be. And so I think it's important for you to not only understand what it affects in your environment, but how it affects you personally. So I find that most people talk themselves out of doing the hard part, which is getting started and handling kind of like the rebuttals, and they get really discouraged.
Mm-hmm.
Because this has really become a world where everybody wants everything right now.
Yes.
And so we're so used to just being able to search something on the internet or read it in an email or pull it up really quickly. And so when you get into starting your own business, I think people really tend to lose patience with themselves and they think, oh my God, I'm not making a ton of money right now. This must not be the thing for me. And normally they're just short of where they want to be, but
Yeah.
they don't give themselves the time.
That need for immediate gratification is a bit of a bugbear, isn't it, in today's society?
Right, right.
I wonder, if we're if we're looking at, you know, the fact that a lot of people are very perfectionistic, did you find that it was very difficult under an $8 million company to actually let go of some of the core processes in your business to help it grow?
I did. So I think that I felt if I wasn't 100% prepared, I couldn't present it. And that is really the wrong way to be, because what you don't realize is that you really end up tailoring your business to be what your audience receives, and what you think they might receive may not be that at all.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of important to throw something out there and see where it falls. You know, does the majority of your audience feel one way and some of them don't, or are they leaning the other way? Do they kind of fall in the middle? And a lot of what you do is based on that. And I think that's where, once you figure that out, running your business becomes a lot easier, because now you're almost letting them do half of the work for you.
Yeah.
But you do have to let it go, and you do have to be a little bit vulnerable and make sure that you're being receptive to feedback without letting it discourage you enough to talk yourself out of it.
Yeah, this is a great conversation. I'm taking a lot in personally from this, because, you know, there are those times where you do have that self-doubt. So thank you so much for sharing. I'm wondering, you have this core idea that you've come up with, you know, this payment plan option, which is fantastic. To refine your offer, did you go about asking your clients what they wanted, and how did that all come out that you were to, you know, be able to shape your business to what it is today?
So really what happened is that I was trying to find out how I could make the most of my inner circle.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that if the things everyone else were doing, like, you know, credit and taking loans and doing that kind of stuff, was what everyone else was doing, that wasn't going to be what I wanted, because I can see already that these people aren't walking into other places booking vacations. So I had to set myself apart. And that was the only way I knew how. Like, I had to think back, you know, hey, if my mom, what stopped her from taking me places? What stopped me from traveling when I was a kid? And because a lot of the people that I market to are in the same position that my mom was, even though they're my age, it's still the same kind of situation. So, and those are the things that came into play, you know, lack of credit or bad credit, or just making it financially, or not having what you need. And I got very lucky. Like I said, my husband's military, and my kids live a different life than I did as a kid.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm really, I'll never forget where I came from. And if I can make somebody feel any kind of hope, or just feel better as a mom, as a traveler, or even as a business owner, if they decide to hire me in that sense, that's what I wanted to do.
Yeah, it is a wonderful journey that you're on, and I love the fact that you were able to realize your dream of being able to live a better life for your children, for yourself, for your family overall. Love to talk a little bit about your book, Mompreneur Mastery. That's on Amazon, am I right?
It is, yeah. And so what that book is, it's a very short read, because we all know moms don't have a lot of fun. So, but what it goes over is kind of what I'm describing, you know, finding your fundamentals and finding your why, and understanding that whatever life you want to live, you can. So, you know, it goes both ways. I mean, I don't think that being an entrepreneur is for everybody. I don't think everybody wants that, and that's okay too. You know, and so I think that a lot of it is where you're kind of understanding you're going to wear multiple hats no matter what you do. You have to find time to take care of yourself, and you kind of have to learn how to prioritize and organize in a way that doesn't hold you back in any aspect. You know, whether it's your career, or personally, your personal development, professional development, emotionally, a lot of people tend to play on the safe side because they don't
Mm.
want to deal with heartbreak, um, and I think that's okay in a sense, but not enough to where you shouldn't take the leap if that's what you're craving.
Yeah, that's some sage advice. We only live once, presumably. So
Right.
why not take that leap of faith and try something? What's the worst that can happen?
Exactly. And I think that's something too that I always like to touch on as well, is that if you have the right support and you're connected with the right people, I always offer free advice.
Hmm.
So, I know going into business can be very expensive, and people tend to make a lot of mistakes because they don't have somebody that they can just ask a quick question to. So I offer something called 15-minute flash sessions where people can schedule time with me. And even if it's, late at night or whatever, they can schedule that call for the next day. And if they have a quick idea, they're like, hey, is this really good or really bad? And I will give them the best advice. I don't give them advice any different than I would give someone who is paying me.
Yeah.
And I think that saves people a lot of money
Yep.
and time, where they're like, okay, this is somebody who's done it, I can trust what she says. Um, and it stops them from making some mistakes. And I'm brutally honest, which can be really bad, but sometimes I'm like, no, that's a terrible idea, don't
No,
do
that's
that.
I think that's a strength. People so
Yeah.
often hide the truth, don't they?
Right, but it's I've had a lot of people reach out to me, and this is kind of where I had no intentions on becoming a coach or anything like that when I came into the travel industry. But then I would wake up in the morning and I would have such messages that were just, heartbreaking, but also like so inspirational, where people are just like, I've been watching what you're doing and I'm amazed by you. And your videos make me laugh every day and you make me feel like I can do anything and those things. And I'm like, okay, how do I help now?
How
And
do I
I kind of
reciprocate that wonderful message?
Yeah, right. And so then I was like, hey, why don't you let me take you by the hand and help you do it yourself? Because I think this would make you feel really good, and I can show you how easy it can be. But you got to stick with me through the good times and the bad, because they're not all good. So,
No, no, and that's the
uh,
truth of it, isn't it? I'm sitting here thinking to myself, this fact that you give away this 15-minute free call is very consistent with your overall approach to business, and it's such a refreshing a take on it. How long did it take to write your book?
so I started my book in the beginning. It was advised to do it by somebody else in the industry,
Hmm.
um, and it really was helpful to do it that way because I wrote in the moment throughout the whole book.
Yeah.
So it wasn't like I didn't reach success and then start writing it. And I think it would have came out completely different if I had. So it was nice to kind of write it in the moment. So I honestly just started my journey in January of this year. And so it took me just short of 6 months to really kind of configure it and make it come across the way that I wanted it to.
Yeah, and it would be one of those processes, not having written a book myself, where you would, I guess the feeling would be very, positive at the end when you put that pen down, knowing that you've completed your own book. How did you feel?
I felt great. I have always written, even as a child. My family always thought I was going to be a songwriter or something. I never wanted the spotlight, but I always kind of like delivered that written product. And I wrote poetry and I journaled a lot. And
Hmm.
and I think that when you're growing up and if you don't have cable, like you don't have all these luxuries, that's kind of what you do, and so once I was finally done, I was really taken back with emotion. And I definitely had that moment where I thought, no way can I publish this. Like, no one is ever going to read this.
Hmm.
And, um, but they did.
They
And
did.
it worked out so well because it was like exactly what my audience needed at the right time. And it was exactly what I needed, I think, at that time as well.
Yeah.
So it's very gratifying for me. And my kids are all readers and they're all very proud. So,
Very good, very good. Now, so for everybody who is on the call today, entrepreneurs, business owners, other book authors, in fact, there's some really great advice here. There's some insights that are very consistent. There is a journey, there is a process to follow. So, Kasey, when people want to work with you, where are they going to find you?
So finding me would be easiest on Facebook. I manage all of my social media myself. So if anybody wants to read, I'm on Facebook very often under my name, Kasey Labrie, and LinkedIn as well. I'm on LinkedIn under Kasey Labrie as well.
Thank you very much for sharing that. So for everyone who just heard that, I will be making the links available back to Kasey. Kasey, thank you very much for spending some time with me on the My Future Business Show today.
You're very welcome. Thank you so much for having me, Rick.
Thanks for joining us today. If you enjoyed the call, then make sure to subscribe, leave a comment, share us with your friends, and book your spot on the show at myfuturebusiness.com/interviews. And if you're looking for solutions that will help grow your business, then visit myfuturebusiness.com/shop.